exchanges. So we already shut down Silk Road and got rid of that guy Ross, right? Because he was a bad guy.
Yeah, and then they got 10 other
right
markets.
And now they're starting to paint Bitcoin in that light of, if you get this ransomware virus, it's because now it didn't affect us as bad as it did affect other countries, right?
You know what got affected by it? Really close to home here is the Dart.
Oh yeah. Where it got hacked? Yeah.
Oh, they got
ransomware.
Yeah,
it was a polymer virus.
Right.
Did they pay it?
I think they had to, because I think the schedules, like that's basically why they didn't have the time, the schedules, like the stations.
Now I know in Europe a lot of people got hit, like especially
Europe and Asia,
stuff like that.
Europe and Asia. And the
Because
reason
they
why
don't update. They don't update.
they bought pirated software. Which doesn't, well, so it's very common, right? In Latin America, Mexico,
I'll be honest,
pirated software all the time.
You just have to do like this is why you have backups and redundancies. You know, like.
But I think it was only for like I think it was like Windows.
It was the old ones. It was the old Windows.
Like Windows 8 and under.
Windows
less than 8. So 7.
It was probably Windows 9.
XP,
I thought it was XP.
Vista.
It might be XP.
But that's
it was those.
confusing to me, and maybe you were more of a blockchain technical person. So the whole premise is anonymity or anonymous, being able to
to an extent.
An open source, open ledger, right? So you have these malware criminals, that demand Bitcoin payments, so how can you have it both ways?
Semi-anonymous. So basically, as it comes, like if you go through Coinbase or whatever, you're not anonymous. Mm-hmm. But there are ways to basically tumble your money, or kind of like wash it, right?
Yeah.
Right.
It just sends to a bunch of different wallets.
Oh, I got
so that way you never know where the original origin point was.
It's trivially easy to, relatively easy to
hide where
Right. Because you can download the whole blockchain from days.
Oh yeah.
Oh, it's public. It's public.
Yeah, it's public. It's public ledger. That's the whole point of it.
So if you go through Coinbase, it's pretty easy to connect your identity to the address, right? Or to those coins.
Right. Coinbase asks you, your
right.
name and address.
But once it leaves,
or would you buy something
once
from
those
somebody
coins start moving around and they start going like different addresses, you don't know whose address that is. If that's you or not. Or
so it's just kind of a washing technique that.
And see that's why the government's also again
there's these things called tumblers.
Step their foot in because that's the perfect tool for money laundering.
Right.
It's a perfect tool for money laundering, tax evasion, and stuff like that. So
this is a funny thing because like right now, so we're talking about like the use case of Bitcoin or the future. What's the future going to be? And we're thinking it's going to be like Linux or whatever. But what's interesting, it's crazy, is that now it's actually. I heard Russia was looking into using it to
2018.
circumvent sanctions.
That's what I think they're going to use it for.
I heard they're looking at Ethereum.
Yeah. Well, Vitalik met with Putin.
Yeah,
but
see, that's why I don't know if
I don't think Ethereum honestly has the volume or liquidity or the market depth to handle.
I don't think they have the security yet. Right?
But
not yet.
Not yet.
What are you talking about, Ethereum? Like Ethereum.
Ethereum.
The new Ethereum?
Security.
Bitcoin
the newest Ethereum.
might.
It's slow, it's cumbersome, but it's safe. Safer.
It works.
It works.
It works.
It
like,
works.
we know it works. Like,
No, I'm 100% agree. I think it's a way for sanctions to be avoided, right? It's a way for Japan when they adopted it, I think they did it as a defensive move.
Again,
because their population is dropping.
Yeah, their currency keeps getting.
They've never been open to immigrants. I don't want to say they're xenophobes, but
that's fine.
Well, I mean, they're just not open to immigrants, so their population is dwindling, right? They're aging, and the amount of GDP to that, or the amount of GDP to national debt is just, it's completely lopsided, right? So they're probably seeing, hey, 20 years from now, this ain't going to be so pretty anymore, right? So because we're not going to have, the birth rate's not up, in fact, we're just getting older, and who's going to pay for this debt, right? So they're probably hedging, I think. And probably a lot of countries will be too. Right?
Well, India has already started that, didn't they? With their two main currencies gone down, and they started leaning towards Bitcoin.
Yeah.
That's what I read anyway.
And China, they devalued their currency a couple times, so
that's good for China. You have these issues, right? So it's like, and I think even Andreas talked about this, right? You have this nationalist, populist movement running around the world, right?
Yeah.
Started with Brexit. came to the U.S., tried it in France, maybe in Germany later this year. Philippines is already there, India's already there, right? So
I think Australia.
you put in all these walls.
So
right?
what do you mean back then? What national movements? Like I know what Brexit is, but what are the others you're talking about?
It's a nationalist,
Nationalist
anti-globalist
and populist
okay.
movement, right?
Or anti-globalist.
Anti-globalist
Okay.
movement. Yeah. So now nobody trusts each other's currencies, right? So
Currency
China, I'm going
groups.
to trade with you. Europe, I'm going to trade with you, but we're no longer going to flip to dollars and then back to whatever.
I mean, even Trump was talking about this in his campaign. Like he's like, "Oh, China, they're like manipulating your currency." You know,
Absolutely.
So
currency
I'm
manipulation.
going to trust, but I'm going to verify. And so we're going to do exchange, we're going to do business, we're going to trade, but we're not going to use dollars or yen. We're going to use, as a clearing currency, maybe something that nobody can manipulate, right? That's what I think might potentially happen, is they'll use it as a settlement layer, use Bitcoin as a settlement layer. They'll still have their own flag currencies, right? But because everybody manipulates theirs a different way, the countries won't trade with flag currencies, they'll trade with Bitcoin.
It's like a
Reserve.
reserve currency.
Like a reserve currency. I don't know if that's what'll happen, but damn it, it fits that need pretty good, right?
It'd be like kind of like gold sometimes, you know.
That's what it is. It's digital gold.
So one thing, back to BitShares, just real quick. One thing they have is they have bit assets. You ever heard of BitShares then?
Can you explain it?
It's just another. Okay, so well, it's a long story if I get into it, but it's worth knowing about. So there's this guy named Dan Larimer, and he started BitShare, or ProtoShares, which became BitShares, and I'll go to where it's going now in a minute. But BitShares has what's called bit assets, so you can go create your own coin on BitShares right now, and it runs on their blockchain. But then they have bit assets that are pegged to currency, so they have the Bit USD, Bit Gold, Bit One, Bit.
Oh, like
they have
Tether?
derivatives basically.
Sounds like Tether.
I don't know what that one is.
Yeah.
And so I've been studying their infrastructure, but then what he went on to make second was Steemit. Have you heard of that one?
Oh, yeah.
Steemit is a website where you can post articles.
Right.
And they don't use mining, they use DPoS, distributed point of stake, or position of stake, or proof of stake. Distributed proof of stake. So they have witnesses that run these servers, and they say all that money you're wasting on mining and electricity, you just have these witnesses that we vote on, and every person who, I guess, has shares, whatever, votes. So there's a lot fewer witnesses than there are miners, and it saves all this processing power. So there's, in theory, their fees are cheaper, and a lot of it sounds, but it sounds like what you were saying earlier, it sounds like they may be the Betamax, they may be technically better, but they don't seem to be like taking off, and I don't know why. But back to Steemit. So on Steemit, you actually generate steam by creating content and by replying to other people. So it's like every month there's a certain amount of steam that gets created. If you're on there blogging, you might earn $100 or whatever a month.
I've thought about it, checking out Steam.
And you can just reply to other people, and even your replies can, I've just got a little so
I
far.
heard all the cool kids are doing it, like Andreas is on it.
Grant Cardone just got on it recently. And
Yeah.
they're bringing people from, like, they're saying, like, if you can't monetize your YouTube, bring your crowd over here now
Interesting.
and take that.
It's basically a way to monetize your content. Like, so if you hire a blogger, there's a lot of professional bloggers, you know, and they get.
Yeah.
Well, that's what libraries
So is it a
do,
blogging
right?
platform, or is it does it have like a?
Well, okay, so Dan Larimore created, his blockchains run on actually a common thing called graphene. That's his like blockchain engine. And BitShares, they updated BitShares to run on graphene. Steemit runs on graphene. There's one called Pure Play, which is gonna be like game playing on their gambling on the on blockchain. And then there's it just like starts to explode. There's another one coming out, Muse, for music, for people that can lock up their music and get royalties or whatever from it. And then now he's moving to the next thing, which is EOS, which is supposed to be the Ethereum killer if he wins, you know, the game. And so he's doing a 1 year long ICO where like there was just a few, I didn't buy it yet, but there's like a first week, it was like 5 or 7 days was like the initial block, and then every day for the next year, it's like an auction.
Oh, wow.
So like if you put in $100 tomorrow and 1,000 other people do, then it just divides it up on whoever buys that day. And then every day for like a year. And that's actually a 23-hour period. So I guess that way the sun moving around the world, you're not locked into your 24-hour period.
I met him at Consensus.
Okay, yeah, he spoke
just
there. I've
got
watched his
married.
videos.
He literally he eloped before Consensus. He was telling us a story. That's pretty interesting. I didn't realize it's the same.
He seems like kind of like a Vitalik, but who knows who's smarter, right? I don't get into that.
No, I'm right. And I remember EOS. EOS, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's so interesting.
And so I'm trying to learn Ethereum so I can understand EOS when it comes out.
Right.
See, that's what kind of bothers me about Ethereum. So like Vitalik he like basically controls that cryptocurrency. You know,
Well, he
I mean,
created that hard
it's-
fork, right? So
Right. So
He created what for?
So like
created the hard fork.
So if,
Oh,
he,
yeah,
if
yeah.
he was gone tomorrow, would Ethereum still be? Would still Ethereum thrive?
because there was a rumor back a couple
That he was
weeks ago
that he
was
died.
dead.
Yeah,
it
went down.
Who started that?
Man, I mean,
That was a good idea. when
talk
we started
about
that. I would watch.
manipulation.
Yeah, exactly.
See, that's what I'm saying. That doesn't really
It was
make it decentralized.
Put in your shorts.
because it still has control.
We still have it's the faith of the people, right? I mean, it may be decentralized, but do the people have faith in it, right? Because like the Steam and
Well, if
BitShares
it was
is pretty
gone,
decentralized.
then would it thrive?
It depends on how many people support it.
It depends also on who understands it or
But
not.
doesn't he have to keep writing like?
Well, okay, back to BitShares. Here's another one, BitShares. BitShares has like $300 million available for developers, and they're actually out there begging people right now to do projects on it.
Wow.
And I don't know what they need, but I'm like, I have to think of something, you know, but they're calling them worker proposal. They use such technical language that, like,
Yeah.
if you're not in their circles, it's like, what did they just say?
Right.
But they
right.
call them these worker proposal projects, and so someone can go out and say to them, I want to do this project, and they might just fund it for you, you know, or.
That's interesting.
But they're very careful, I guess, how they give you the money and stuff.
I want to learn more about the smart contracts.
A smart contract, it's a way to autonomize some sort of function that you have. Like, let's say you want
Gambling or something.
to not just to gamble, but like if a really basic example is escrow.
Okay.
You don't need to hire escrow. You could autonomize it. You can make an account. And how Ethereum works is you have two types of accounts. One is a what's called an EOA. It's an externally owned account, and the other one is it's a smart contract account. So in an escrow, you have the two parties, and you have the person who's acting as the escrower, and you sign the contract saying the buyer or the seller will get the money if these conditions are met. You can program that on a smart contract, and you send your Ether or whatever to that account, and if the conditions are met, then the buyer can say, okay, he's done what he needs to do. Then you can send the money like that. Okay. So a smart contract is a way to autonomize functions.
Yeah, I heard it can be used for a number of things.
Yeah, like insurance, Internet of Things, which is what I'm actually reading about right now. I recently read about insurance that can do that. You can streamline claims on smart contracts. It's in a textbook that I have called Blockchain's Applications. Because I want to be a developer, I need to know about how the smart
I'm reading a
contracts
book on
work.
Ethereum and Solidity right now.
Yeah, Solidity
Just
is-
to understand it. I may
yeah.
not do it, but I want to understand it, yeah.
You have the smart contract itself. It's composed of functions and a state. You have a state variable, which is like the numbers. You know, like if account 1 is at $100, account 2 is at $200, and then you have the function itself. So you have whatever functionality you want it to have. Mm-hmm. You connect that into the blockchain. You connect that into the blockchain network. Ethereum itself is it's a network, but you have to have other stuff with it. Ethereum is great for recording processes or recording transactions, keeping track of who owns what, but it's not so good at storing the information. So you need another thing called Swarm. Swarm is a decentralized storage place. And so it works with Ethereum like that. And the way they communicate between user and the blockchain itself, it's what's called Whisper. Whisper is another decentralized platform that Ethereum uses. So you have this stack that Ethereum is based off of, and it's just an inner working system. It's not just Ethereum.
So it's a connector,
it's
for
a
lack of a
connection.
better word.
Exactly.
It's a connector to other platforms.
Mm-hmm.
Got it.
And how does the gas work? That's what I got
gas,
to that chapter. Yeah.
So you have to have gas is what's it's the fee. You have to.
But how do you know how much you need and all that kind of stuff?
It's based on whatever the person
complexity
wants.
of the program.
Well,
how
no,
fast you want it to run.
It's based on it's based on
based on
difficulty.
memory,
It's
yeah,
based
the
on how
size
fast
of the-
Because if I'm understanding it, the same program has to run on every minor machine, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. The
But
exact
it's-
same program, so it has to come out. So you end up with the same variables on every
Yeah.
machine, right?
Well, yes, but if you want to calculate however much, And I might be going out of my depth here, but if you want to calculate how much you want to, well, let me back up here. You can pay however much you want. You can pay the minimum amount of gas for a transaction, but it might not get through because
Other people get
it's not
ahead
enough.
of you.
Yeah, it's not enough.
So
You
you
don't have
have
to send more.
like on cloud computing, right?
Mhm.
Like AWS, you pay money to have a computer like run your program,
Yeah.
right? How does that how would that fit into the Ethereum framework? Like how does that really work?
I don't know too much about cloud computing. How
Like
that works.
AWS, Amazon.
Well, that's just
Oh,
that's just a
like,
set month. Well, no, it's not all. Some of it's set monthly
Right,
fees if you
like
have a
you-
server,
you
but
pay-
others you pay by the use. But
Right. Like you pay like say like 90 cents an hour.
I get an idea with Ethereum.
I'm
There's
not
like
too
an
familiar
auction
with
or
it.
something where you
With how
like
their
the guy who pays the
framework
most gas just goes to the head of the line.
Okay, so what is gas? Gas is just like the transaction fee?
That's why I don't know. I haven't got to that chapter, so I was hoping someone here might know.
You'd be basically run computing power by the hour, right?
Yes.
You know what gas is?
So it's
Oh, is
I
it
get
like
lost in the technical stuff.
how gas is?
Yeah, me too. That's what I'm trying to learn.
I mean, I want to see. That's why I want to see
Is
a
that
full
how it
coded
is? Is
example
gas
of
kind
one
of
of
like-
these
like the
contracts.
Yeah.
that like
Not
Yeah, 'cause smart
necessarily.
contracts.
It's a way to
I've never
compensate.
figured out. I know what it is, and I know the premise behind it, but I don't know
Is that how
it's
it-
implemented or.
Well, how it works, number one, how it's executed,
Exactly.
how it's enforceable.
Exactly.
I mean, so here we have a court of law if somebody doesn't enforce the end of the contract.
Right, exactly.
What do you do in the blockchain?
the Dell hack.
Especially
Right.
decentralized blockchain.
Right.
Dude, that was hilarious.
All right, so when you're talking about gas, what was that term?
It's
Is that
a
just
fuel.
a transaction fee.
Yeah,
It's Ethereum, though, too,
It's a
right?
tra-
It's
it's a
also
transaction
Ethereum.
fee.
Ether?
It's
Basically,
ether.
just ether. So
Yeah, it's a transaction fee. It-
So it's just ether.
So they're saying like how much this,
Okay, so
this
that's what I think.
contract.
That's all it is. That's all it is.
Yeah,
It's a
it's
transaction
just
fee.
yeah, it's just a transaction fee. So
It's
so
a way to
that's what I
compensate
thought.
buyers.
But
So
it can be
maybe that's
lower or
probably-
higher
Depending on the difficulty.
But if you have two people in a contract, who pays
Depending on
for
how
it?
many, depending on how many nodes are on the
That's
network,
a good question.
how
too.
many, how many transactions are in the meme pool? Do you know what a meme pool is?
Yeah.
The meme pool is where all the transactions are.
Oh,
well, all the miners get
before the
together.
block, before.
Before it gets written into the blockchain.
Yeah, exactly.
It goes into a meeting.
Yeah.
It's like it's a waiting list. It's
So-
a waiting line. It's like
A queue.
it's
Oh,
kind of like
okay.
say like a toll. It's like a toll, right? Like
I'm thinking about
before
mining.
you get in the freeway, there's a toll. And you gotta.
Get in line.
It depends
Right,
on
you
how,
gotta get in line.
depending on how full the meme pool is. Which, by the way, Bitcoin's meme pool went way down, and we don't know if that was spam from the network or I don't know if you guys heard about that. But if you use what's on the meme pool and how many nodes are on the network, you can calculate however much gas you need.
Well, that's the other thing. Back to BitShares, they supposedly could do like 100,000 transactions a second, and then like
But how secure are those
1 to 3
transactions?
seconds response time. Like if you're paying with your card or something.
Yeah, but how
then-
decentralized is that? Like I mean, like Visa and like Mastercard can do all those transactions.
Yeah,
too,
but they're,
like,
right. But that compared to Bitcoin, I'm saying that's one of the
Yeah.
things.
how solid or how irreversible are those transactions? You know, because Bitcoin, like you can only do so many transactions, but those are like solid transactions. Like,
Right. Well, you need 10 minutes of confirmation and 6 blocks or whatever it is, right?
Or yeah, but I mean, like
6 nodes to confirm.
by reversing that, you know, like after.
Yeah.
Is it just how many nodes you trust? I mean, is it back to that? Like if you're selling your car, the guy says, "I want to wait for 6 or 8 or 12." Isn't it up to him, kind of? I mean,
I've always heard 6 is like the minimum.
because I was watching one the other day. I saw it go up. I was watching like a week later. Does it eventually? I guess it's every
That's
miner in
a
the
good
world
point.
has to
Like,
confirm
Right,
it.
will eventually have to confirm, right, the transaction.
But why does it take so long then? Why don't they all do it roughly the same
Because of the
time?
size of the meme pool. How
No.
many
That's okay. So if you're doing it in person, right, and you're doing like a cars,
Yeah.
like which is like what $10,000 or $20,000 or something. That's kind of a pretty big amount, right?
Right.
So
Or even a cash. If I give you $20, I said give me 0.00 whatever.
Yeah, that's not gonna matter. I'm not gonna wait an hour for that.
Well, no.
But if you're gonna do like a
So the more it is, the longer you want to wait.
The more
So
confirmations you
the
want.
more conversations you want.
Confirmation.
I mean, like one confirmation, honestly, like for a car, you're probably gonna be okay.
Yeah, because most people don't know how to fake
Most
that
people
out.
aren't gonna
Right.
do that, right? Like, and I mean, if it's just 20 grand, like, we're talking about like a market cap of like billions here, you know. So it's not like you might think it's a lot, but like the amount of
Reality is-
computing power that you need to reverse that transaction is
More than
it's-
that's available.
Exactly.
More than what's
More than
available.
what's available. It's not economical, like to reverse it. So this whole thing of I gotta wait like an hour, not really.
You ever never seen a complaint?
Huh?
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, like no one's ever been like reversed. Like I mean, it's happened in the smaller coins. I will say this, like in the smaller coins where like they have less hashing power, or they have less GPUs like securing their network. It's happened to them, like where they and the way this is done is actually through exchanges, but it has been done before, but not with something as big as Bitcoin, because they own most, like the majority of the hashing power like in the world. But sometimes some people have like really like a lot of hashing power, and they use that like to kind of like mess around with like some of the other smaller market cap coins, and basically double spend like those coins through an exchange. Exchange it for Bitcoin. Like run out of town.
One more thing back to BitShares. One more thing I gotta tell you. So what they're working on now too is this thing called the Hero coin, and it's another derivative. But what they're going to do is you can take the equivalent of whatever the value is of a Hero, like which is double. You have to put double in escrow. So it's like they call it. It's not a smart contract, but it's a smart something. Anyway, you can lock up an escrow, double that of BitShares, and now you create a Hero out of nothing. And then you basically sell it or short it. And what they're trying to do with that is they're trying to make an investment that pays 5% increase per year for like the widow orphans retiree funds. Okay, so now they're saying now we're going to go sell your market share to your grandmother who needs it to live on, and she's going to make 5% a year because the banks aren't paying that, right? And then when she pays me that, I got that other extra $165. Now I can go buy more BitShares or whatever.
Sounds too good to be true. It sounds really scammy, dude. Like I don't know.
It's what they're working on.
It sounds very, very scammy.
Yeah.
It's actually Stan Lerner's dad. But it's Stan Lerner's dad. So
here's what's crazy, right?
Stan is his dad.
Something out of
4 years ago, 5 years ago, if somebody came up to you and talked to you about Bitcoin,
You would say it's scamming, right?
that's a scam.
I wouldn't know much about it.
There was a lot of skepticism, and that's a healthy thing. There's a healthy amount of skepticism. But when somebody goes up to you and is like, "Hey, man, you're gonna make like $1 billion out of nothing," you know, or
You have to phrase it properly. You can't just go and say it's some commercial.
no, but it's something out of nothing.
Is everybody here that guy?
To be true?
Is everybody here that guy in your group of friends that won't shut up about Bitcoin?
Yes, I am.
I won't shut up about blockchain.
You ask my
Not just
Bitcoin.
Bitcoin.
I tell people all the time, like, dude,
You know what I'm talking about,
like,
yeah?
just put a little bit.
You got it?
Whatever you're not afraid to lose,
Okay.
put it in some kind of cryptocurrency.
What's been the easiest way you've been able to convince people?
Showing them my returns.
In terms of
Now you're showing me your losses.
Now we can
I just bought 10 of them.
That's like the fickle,
They're like
like,
$250 each.
when they see like the returns and stuff, like, oh wow, you turned like $10 into like 10,000. Like, how'd you do that? But
Yeah.
Well, I mean, is right now, like, is the opportunity more in some of the altcoins? You know, and I'm new to the cryptocurrency, but, you know, I look at things like, you know, there was one like Dubai coin, I think the other day, that it dropped like 50%, and then it went up like 100%. All in one day.
I'm worried about
there's a lot of pump and
how
dumps.
is this
There's a lot of
Yeah.
pump and dumps, so they're very,
And
those
that's gonna
coins,
happen.
how's that possible?
I think some people just go buy like $100 or whatever for every one of
It's
those,
because they have
right?
very shallow market caps.
Yeah.
Like, you know, they have a very shallow
Yeah, that's
depth
true.
of market, and anybody like these whales can just come in there and manipulate the market, you know, and start rallies like crazy.
That's why you have to really research the
Yeah, I mean,
company that
like,
you're going to go into.
like the
That's
one-
why I think Bitcoin is
Yeah.
going to be like the king of them all, because, you know, they have the white papers right there. Well, I mean, they all have white papers, but, you know, it shows you how many are going to be, you know, in circulation. It shows you the halving every 4 years. You know, it shows you, like, basically how the infrastructure was supposed to be made, you know, by having all these miners, so that way it entices people to...
But what happens when the miners don't want to mine anymore? You know, I mean,
Well, they will lose too, though, right? Because then people would move to an alt.
They will lose.
yeah,
Right?
because
And then, all right, screw you.
the miners earn Bitcoin, and there's going to be there's a theoretical max, right?
There may be more transaction fees. than
Oh, okay.
too,
So I know
right?
what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's a good
What if
question.
they earn and they hit that max?
Yeah.
they-
No, that's a good question.
Can't mine
That's a good
anymore.
question, and this was addressed like in the early days too, right? It's like, and even Satoshi, like they talked about this. Is what happens when Bitcoin reaches that point where the block reward is like so low that it's not, you know, it's not worth it for the miners.
Well,
and
by
that's
then-
where the transaction
yeah.
fees.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
transaction.
then the cost per coin should be
But
high
then-
enough to where they're
That's-
still
But
profitable.
if no one's
Also-
checking like a proof of work or how do you do transactions without miners, right?
So that's
You honestly,
you need a miner. You need something.
That's what you proof of stake.
You get proof of stake.
I mean, honestly, like Bitcoin was around and was doing transactions when there was just one miner.
Right.
Yeah.
When it was just Satoshi
Off
on
the
his
laptop.
board, on his laptop, and it was just.
But I think
you can-
mathematically, it's probably, decades away before we even.
Well, the
get
last
yeah.
one will be
Yeah.
mined in 2140, right?
Yeah.
Right. That's-
The last Bitcoin will be mined in 2140.
2140?
Yes.
Okay, I never heard that.
No, 2040.
It's 2140.
2140.
Actually,
According to Kurzweil, the singularity happens in
Well, it
2045.
actually never ends. It actually never reaches 21 million. It just
Hasn't,
keeps
hasn't,
halving
hasn't.
and halving and halving until
Every
infinity.
time until
Right.
2140. But by then, we should have something completely different, right?
But it'll just keep halving until
Right.
ad infinitum.
That's why
I didn't hear that was true. I thought he had a planned deadline where once they got close to 21 million coins, he cut it off and they'd have to change the marketing incentive.
Yeah, that's what I heard too.
I heard that.
After, because there's only a certain amount of coins that can be put out into circulation.
Well, I guess when it comes to the point where where the block reward
Yeah, I didn't
is
think
so
it was 100
minuscule,
years away.
then I guess
No, I think it's
the market
20
would have to
years.
change the
Use
Well, yeah, it's in the reward.
the incentives.
Every
The
4
incentives.
years it gets getting halved, and I think there's already about 16 or 17 million coins out there.
Mm-hmm.
And what's it going to be? 40 million or 20?
No, 21 million.
21 million.
Yeah. But how many of those are already lost? How many of the 16 are already lost? I tell you, my brother already lost one I gave
And
him.
that's the point, is every 4 years, you may get half the reward, but once you get to 21 million,
Right.
there's no more rewards, there's nothing.
Well, there's the
Well,
fees,
there-
that's what you're
yeah.
saying. There's
So
fees.
just a fee, just a
That's
transaction
what
fee.
that's how they get paid. That's
And
how
more people
miners
will be
get
doing
paid.
more little itty bitty transactions by then because it'll be common, right?
But I don't know if we'll ever get to the point where people will be trading Bitcoin, right? Because if it does turn into the
Well, if
reserve,
it's a reserve.
then you'll be
Yeah.
trading all these other little alts. Like I had.
I thought you said that they'd be trading it to Bitcoin and then back, right?
Well, right.
It'd be the middle.
But at
guy.
some point, right, Bitcoin might be like Swift, I think. Or the Swift network in
Right,
the banking
right.
world, right?
Yeah.
Minimum 25 million just to get in the door, right? To send a wire on the Swift network. And that's how countries and banks send money to each other. So I don't think we'll ever start, well, at least I'm not going to be able to send
Is this
25
like
million.
international currency? Is that what?
Yeah. They're,
Like, it's
they're
like
just basically
Forex,
settlements. Most of it is no, it's settlement of, and most of the settlements have to be in dollars, just FYI. So we have clients, right, that have done, this is a client that's based in Belgium, and he's doing business in China. Well, he has to send the money to New York first to convert it to dollars, and then send it to China. Almost every major transaction is first done in dollars. I don't know if you knew that.
That's an interesting idea. I mean, who
Well,
else
because
has
they trust
heard of?
dollars, they don't trust Chinese yuan.
Well, and I also
Well,
think
because it's
that
the world reserve currency.
No, I think the Belgian yuan currency pair has very low liquidity. There's not really.
Yeah, no, it is, but most transactions will always go through US dollars first.
That makes
That's
sense.
how they get
It's like the
settled.
hub,
Like
right?
Argentina just recently
Perpetual
issued, I think it was 20 billion? I forget the exact number, in brand new debt, right? But the only way the world would actually buy it, investors, would be if it's US dollar denominated and paid in dollars. So the interest is paid in dollars.
Have you heard of this company called Cosmos? It's an ICO or Internet of Coins. They're essentially aiming to make a blockchain out of blockchains. They're trying to interlink all of them.
Fund to funds.
Well, like emails, like used to you could only email on AOL or you could only email on Prodigy or whatever back
Until
in the
Outlook
day.
was, right, or something like
For,
that.
I mean, for one, you don't
SAP,
need you don't need an
SAP,
intermediary. I mean, like you would have to go through Bitcoin in order to exchange to something else.
Mhm.
But they can go to, like, let's say Redcoin to Litecoin, and then from Litecoin to whatever else. I haven't read too much about it, but a company that's involved is Cosmos. Or
See, that would be a
Litecoin.
great potential application. Like I have the Shift card. I don't know if anybody has a Shift card
How do you-
from their Coinbase account, right? I'm trying to learn how it works. That's why I ordered it.
Oh, is
right?
that basically like use it as a debit card?
It's a debit card, yeah. So it's a debit card, right? And it spends my Bitcoin.
So do you have to escrow it first? Like, again, how do they know you didn't spend it?
You have the money in your wallet, and as soon as you make a purchase,
It's like a-
say you spend $20,
Alright,
it'll
it's-
sell $20 of your
Bitcoin.
Bitcoin from your wallet.
To cover the
But are they
settlement.
fast enough to do that?
Comes
That's
Well,
speculative.
they just use it like a Visa or MasterCard. They just use it like a regular card, right? So the merchant, all they do is swipe it.
But how, so they're trusting that first or
So
second
you can
confirmation
literally
comes fast
buy
enough, or
everything
they
with
just,
Bitcoin now.
or you have to have a
There's
credit
no
line.
confirmation. There's no confirmation.
So it's a credit line.
No, it's a third-party bank.
Yeah.
It's a third-party bank that issues this card with the Visa logo on it, right? Coinbase contacted this bank and says, hey, we want you to start clearing our transactions. So all the merchant knows is that Visa or whoever is going to pay them their $9.99 that I spent for lunch today.
It's like if you took your credit card to Mexico and
Right.
your money's in dollars, right?
Right.
In America, but you go to Mexico, you're paying them in pesos. You're going to get pesos, but it's going to get charged to your card.
On the back
card
end,
in the back end is going to convert that
It's
to
all the
dollars.
bank doing all dollar
Yeah.
conversion, right?
Yeah.
So I want to try to figure out how Coinbase does it, right? That's why.
That's
we're
what I'm
part.
asking. How do they check your balance? is what I'm
Yeah,
trying
no,
to figure
so there's a certain amount of Coinbase or coins that I have in my Coinbase account, right? And specifically in Bitcoin. And so every time I do a transaction, it debits that amount
And what
from
the
my
exchange
Bitcoin
rate is.
Yeah.
at whatever the rate is at that moment in time.
It's like you're on vacation from Bitcoin land.
But while you're there, like within seconds of the swipe, or like 10 minutes or an hour later?
The merchant gets paid 2 or 3 days later, but that's
Yeah.
always the case.
Yeah,
that's
right?
what-
No, wait,
With
here's-
settlements.
Here's a good question. What if, you took
Settlements and
that,
everything.
what if you took that card to Mexico
Yeah, I
and
don't
used
know.
it? Wow.
I'm asking about the
Would it
overspend.
turn into
I think-
dollars?
I think
Potential
And then-
overspend, right. So they limit me to
That's
either
interesting.
$1,000 a day is the max I can spend on the card. That's a given limit from the bank. I set my own limit at $500 a day. So in case I lose the card,
Have you used their vault feature, by the way?
I have not.
I used it the other day and I didn't really understand. Like, so by the way, just so you can put money in the vault and
I
then
know, I've seen that too, but I don't know what it is.
when you move it back to your main account, you have to wait 2 days and you get like an email every 8 or 12 hours
Oh,
saying,
wow.
did you really want to do this? You can hit this button to cancel now.
No kidding.
So if someone else tried to move it, you can stop it.
So it's almost like a fail-safe, if you will.
Yeah, and it's like,
That's
it's
interesting.
kind of overprotective, but if you need it fast, it's not fast.
It's
good.
not fast.
There have been double spending problems with those cards that you've.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
The
at
ship- I had
Starbucks.
no
I mean,
idea.
it's very small transactions, but people have been spending. I don't know where,
How
but
can they double spend? It's
I don't know. I mean,
I
I've heard.
Probably because the
Coinbase probably just
Because-
eats a loss or
Well, I
something.
mean, 'cause
they're
it's
making
the
too
credit
much.
card, you'd have to-
processing thing takes time.
you'd have to confirm it, and then someone spends on a specific blockchain, like let's say
That's
market.
retarded.
So-
it's under internal ledger.
If
It's not,
anybody
it's not
knows
actual
of
like
a
it's under-
merchant, if anybody knows of a merchant that is willing to let me swipe my card to see how long it takes for him to physically get paid, I would love to try it.
I mean, the
I have a
way,
merchant
the way
account.
you can double
Yeah,
spend.
Yeah.
well, then
You wanna- you wanna- you wanna-
Give me $100 and I'll tell you.
It only happens on very small
I mean,
transactions.
That's idea for an ICO.
I have my square.
Well, I mean, the reason I think that it is the way you can double spend is because the way that mining works is not all the ledgers like keep the very very same list. They might switch up 2 transactions to where it looks like
Are you talking about double spending on a shift card?
yeah on the shift card. I mean, like because you have to report that and then
No, that doesn't go. That doesn't hit the blockchain. That's an off-chain transaction.
Well, you still have to move it to the network, right? That's how you would confirm it to
Yeah,
the
'cause the
blockchain.
block-
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. It's
Well,
it's
Bitcoin
on
I have on
Coinbase's like internal ledger. It's
Oh, so
off-chain.
it's oh
It's Coinbase,
yeah.
yeah.
It's on
I didn't
Coinbase.
know
It
that.
doesn't go, it doesn't.
I mean,
Basically,
so I don't know how-
it's selling the
it's- that's
Bitcoin
interesting,
Coinbase
though.
and Coinbase.
That's what I'd be interested to see is how fast your Coinbase
Yeah.
goes
No, I
down
know, I know.
after you do
I
this.
have no idea how they were
Literally
double
2
spending.
seconds after I swipe.
Where they went to Starbucks.
But that's
But it doesn't give you the dollar amount.
They double spend.
But what?
On,
It doesn't
on the
give you a
network.
dollar amount.
I don't know how. I don't know how. I
So
probably
only spend like
I think I
45
probably
pull up
times.
something
So I'm
that.
interested to see, because they don't send me a monthly statement necessarily.
Here, I'll
Coinbase
pull up
doesn't send me a
something.
monthly statement, right?
I don't-
So how do I know how much is being debited, and do I know exactly at what price, and, right, so there's a lot of questions there.
Let's see.
But yeah, I've watched a lot of talks
I'm-
with
I'm pretty sure
Andreas,
there's
and he's
lots of coverage
just
on
says like, I bought my plane ticket.
probably have. I don't know how.
You know, and he-
Right, well, what they use is
If you
Travelocity,
don't
which
want
is,
your
they
price-
accept it
Real
directly.
Bitcoin.
Well,
Yes,
they-
it's a-
They accept it
He's
directly.
also talking about the.
Yeah, the shift card, uh-huh.
And,
There's supposed to be somebody like, I'm going to live off Bitcoin, they're going to make videos about it and all that. Just like people
Yeah.
used to do that on the internet. I'm going to live off the
Well,
internet for a
Sean's-
month. or-
Sean's trying to do that. Sean, the guy who was here.
I knew he was
last
going
week.
to travel. I
Yeah,
didn't-
he just posted a picture with his backpack yesterday on.
Is he already taken off?
Not yet. He's trying to find somebody to sublease his apartment to, because they won't let him get out of it, so.
Here's this one. Oh, no, it's a 2014. I
So
recently
do
read
other
all
exchanges, like Coinbase, you can link your bank account, credit
Uh-huh.
card, but are there other exchanges that also offer the same thing where you can?
I don't know if they're as robust as Coinbase.
Is that
I'm
Monaco?
making it as simple.
Or
Because
Who did your ship card come from, Coinbase or something else?
Actually, no, the bank, well, I signed up through Coinbase, through the Coinbase website, but it comes from a bank, and I forgot the name of the bank. I have it
I've
at
seen
home.
a deal to sign up, but I just haven't got the time.
Yeah.
Because I mean, kind of going back to what you were saying earlier, right? If you bought coins from Coinbase, then you can sell it back there. But so I'm just wondering, like, let's say you Kraken or
Yeah,
Bitfinex or something.
and bring
right?
it over.
Yeah, let's say you had, you bought Bitcoin from Coinbase, through your regular Coinbase account.
Mhm.
Then you went over to Bitfinex and then you bought some altcoin.
Right,
from
and
there.
then flipped it back to BTC, and then
Yeah.
came back.
Yeah, then you made a profit, you sold it Bitcoin and now you want
Right.
to bring it back. Is that considered?
Well,
different?
again, this is where
Yeah.
Coinbase comes in and says, that's a good coin, we'll take it because we know its origins,
Yeah.
or we won't
Yeah,
take it
origins.
because we don't want to get in trouble.
Okay,
with
but that's
the law.
still,
It's like-
to them, it's still the same Bitcoin?
Or it's, it's like you're mining Ethereum,
Uh-huh.
with a little rig, and you have, 3 Ethereum that you want to sell. So you just put it in your Coinbase wallet and sell it to them. They know where that money came from.
'Cause you mined it.
You mined it, it's
Right.
brand new. in
Yeah, but if you
existence.
bought it from,
But
I
if
don't
you
know,
got
a
it from,
cartel or.
if you
Yeah.
if you bought it from somebody on the street who ended up, using it, who ended up getting it
Well,
from
there's-
selling
Well,
drugs
there's
or
a
something
Bitcoin
else.
ATM like in Deep Ellum.
Oh, yeah, all over.
There's
Yeah.
Down here.
Yeah, all over.
there's a Cigar shop. I
They're,
think
they're
you
starting
buy
to pop up
Bitcoin.
everywhere.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Bitcoin
Yeah, but that
ATMs.
concept of taint just doesn't make any sense. Like
that concept of what?
The taint, like with Bitcoin.
Oh, right.
Yeah, like oh, these coins like passed through Silk Road.
2 years ago.
2 years ago.
Yeah.
So they're a bad coin. Like,
Right, well, and
It
it
should be
the
fungible.
reason why, remember, the reason why is because Coinbase is a registered FDIC insured bank, which means they have to apply,
Yeah.
they have to adhere to all the different rules that every bank has to, right? So,
Yeah.
know your customer, know the source of their funds, and where they got their funds from,
Yeah.
right?
I mean, they wouldn't even allow legal marijuana to put their money in banks.
Right.
You know what
Yeah.
I mean? It's kind
In
of
fact,
like
one of
that.
our biggest customer, funny story, right? So.
Oh, is this the whole like short-
AML chain, yeah, it's
the
the whole
operating
AML
thing?
thing, right? So it's
Yeah.
when it makes that connection between virtual and physical fiat, that's
Okay,
where
but let's
regulators,
an example.
banks,
right?
that's where they freak the hell
Let's
out.
say you sell your car
Mhm.
and to this guy on Craigslist or whatever,
$10,000.
$10,000, but
Cash.
it's like drug money.
Mhm.
You don't know.
Cash.
You don't.
He didn't tell
No
you.
clue.
US
but
dollar
it's-
cash?
Yeah,
you
but
don't.
it's
the
cash,
only thing that we will
you know?
submit at the bank is a CTR, currency transaction report, because it was more than 10,000.
Right.
We don't care if it
But
smells
you-
like drugs.
But what if it's like
You have records of
I don't know.
car
I guess
stuff.
there's ways they can tell if it's like dirty money, like
No.
if it's like if it starts to disintegrate or something, or if it
They
like
can tell if it's
really
fake.
old, or if it's
They
like
can tell if it's fake. That's about it.
Yeah.
Like,
And
if
see,
it's-
that's the thing. The media is always trying to point, these cryptocurrencies as drug money, when in reality, the biggest drug money is cash. It's
Oh, hands
cash,
down,
yeah.
hands down, like,
You know, and
like
they don't
the
shine the light on that.
US
Yeah,
dollars.
yeah, we
But
cannot
the big
discriminate.
banks-
There was an article
And-
just the other day on CoinDesk that said such a really minuscule percentage of crime is on.
Is-
I'm
Yeah, I
not
heard
saying-
that article.
Cryptos.
I mean, it's
yeah.
like negligible.
Right.
But it gets hyped up with,
Yeah, and
And
people
It's a competition.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a competition to the big
Like,
bank.
criminals start using
And
that.
that's one thing that I
dollars.
really have a question on. Like if it gets out of control and it scales really big and people start adopting Bitcoin and they start leaving the US dollar, and they start doing more and more transactions with cryptocurrencies and stuff like that, can the government step in and basically take control, since it's an open
Oh,
source
yeah.
platform,
Well,
can they
no.
take control?
Not control of the blockchain. They can take control of you, though.
But could they take control? They couldn't take control of the Bitcoin and blockchain and.
It's not in one place.
Well, I think that's what the debate about segregated witnesses versus whatever his name, Satori's original white paper is, that there's a group already trying to hijack the original intent of Bitcoin.
And you think Segwit is part of that? Is part of that? or not?
Yes, and
Yeah. Can you?
well, the designer said, you can make the blockchain as big as you want. It could be 20 megs, it could be 30 megs, it could be $1 trillion currency. But the segregated witness is saying, well, no, we need to keep it at 1 megabyte. And that automatically limits, you can't have a 1 megabyte blockchain and have $1 trillion currency.
No,
And
It won't scale.
Right.
well, transactions would take days and.
And it changes the nature of the way that it semi-centralizes control of the blockchain also. And I haven't read enough of the papers on segregated
Wait,
witness
how?
yet.
I mean, how does it do that? I mean, as far as I've read in what segregated witness is all it takes is the signature of the signature of the buyer or the public keys essentially, and puts it at the end of the block. You're creating a pattern that the SHA 46 can read. That essentially makes it smaller and makes it faster for transactions to process. I mean, I don't
It
understand.
just takes the
But
memory
is
of
it
the
still
block and
keeping it
makes it.
artificially governed? Like, does it still keep it artificially slow? Like, is that what you're saying? That
No, that'll make it faster.
the people that are pushing this SegWit, right?
Right.
Are those the people that you think have been compromised by the government?
Yes, I think that there's paid moles in there.
There's paid moles.
To steer segregated witness.
In a direction where it can be controlled.
Yes.
Maybe
So
not
you're saying the people that accept, the nodes that accept segregated witness are the moles.
No. The people that are pushing segregated.
Yes.
I mean, but
There's already people that are saying this is going to be bad news in a couple of years if segregated witness takes over.
That's what made hard fork then. That's maybe the debate, right?
How
Have
does
enough
that
moles.
SegWit lead to that? Like, how?
Yeah,
How does
that's
it
my
limit
question.
the block size, right? I don't know.
They have to change the programming code for one, and so now there's two programming designs, and I think Reddit has two entire different Bitcoin forums now. One for the people who are pro-segregated witness, and one for the people who are anti-segregated witness and want to follow the original white paper.
That's Roger. That's Roger, right? Roger Bear? He wants to
Yeah,
follow the original
He's
situation.
got these hour-long YouTube videos
Yeah.
trying to explain it, and I barely.
So people are
got into it a
campaigning.
couple weeks
Vote
ago.
for this, vote for this.
I don't think it matters. I mean, how does that lead to malicious intent?
Well, no, it's not malicious intent. It's again to try to control what the governments cannot control.
So you
right?
think Bear is part of the government, like?
Well, no, it might not be Bear,
Bear?
but it could be somebody like Bear, right? It's that.
What,
Yeah,
who are you saying is part of? Is Roger Bear for SegWit?
Like George Soros, who is a massive billionaire, he will pay to fund counter groups
Mhm.
so that if they get too powerful, he has control over what happens to them. You see what I mean?
How does he have control though? I mean, like what is
No,
segment?
so like your core developers, right? If
Mhm.
they're the ones that are passing on the idea of let's go with SegWit because
Uh-huh.
that's the right choice, right? Where a lot of the other community will say, no, that's going to hinder us more, right? A couple years down the road. I can
Right.
see where putting in those type of people into those thought processes can start infiltrating, right? If you think about it from a human nature standpoint, right? I think you touched about this, right? What happens when there's no miners, right? Who knows? We're not there yet,
They're
right?
infiltrators. They're trying to undermine the
Undermine the system because they're the powers that be, right? The ones that control the banks,
Mhm.
right? They don't want to lose control. The incumbents want to keep this forever.
They don't want $1 trillion Bitcoin cryptocurrency.
Well, it's going
That's
to compete
bonus.
directly against them, right?
Central
I
banks,
guess I don't know
yeah.
how that hardware contributes to the value of the Bitcoin.
This is again where I'm not a technical.
I wouldn't know, but I know what segregated witness does. I mean,
Yeah.
it just
But some other coin will do it if they don't, right? I mean,
Litecoin already did it. I mean, that's.
I don't think the value of Bitcoin hinges on like how many transactions can fit in a block, because I mean, the value of gold is pretty high, and there's not really a lot of transactions, like gold transactions. Like how often do you hear people like settling?
Well, no. It's a store of value, right? It's not a medium of
Exactly, it's a
exchange.
store of value.
It's not a medium of exchange.
Nope.
It says, I mean, that's the thing. Like, I like digital currencies and stuff. Like, I was telling him earlier, I'm a big gold bug. Like, when I first started learning about finances, how money was made and how it's been controlled and manipulated, and basically stolen from the middle class and the poor people, and the government's bailing out big banks and stuff like that. I got really into gold and silver. And you can ask my brother, I've been stacking up gold and silver for the last, 3 or 4 years now. And then when I heard about cryptocurrencies, I bought into a little about cryptocurrencies, and those way outperformed my precious metals holdings. And, but gold and silver has real intrinsic value. It's something physical that you can hold. It takes a lot of manpower to get that stuff out of the ground.
That's your proof of
You know
work.
what I mean?
But
Exactly.
Bitcoin's intrinsic value too.
It is,
based on-
but it's also digital. So
Yeah.
I mean, if governments, have like some kind of war or some kind of altercation, and then all of a sudden these EMPs start going off, everything digital just wiped out. Then what? What would happen if an EMP went off in a major city where
So
Millions.
Yeah,
Man, but these nodes are everywhere though.
that would not destroy. That would not
Because it's
destroy.
distributed.
That would not destroy Bitcoin.
Yeah.
You'd have to go
Only
the
if it
whole
went
world.
It would just destroy all the wallets that are all that
No,
everyone's carrying.
absolutely not. Everybody has a copy of the blockchain. That's why it's called decentralized,
Okay.
and that's why it's.
So as long as they have the
So
private
that
keys,
poor little guy in
they-
Malaysia.
As long as you
was-
can restore your wallet.
As long as that.
No, I mean, as long as you have one
Right.
copy, as long as you have one copy, complete
Somewhere.
copy of the blockchain, yeah, somewhere. It doesn't matter. Like, oh, they had an EMP and wiped out like this, once these computers. Well, fine. There's like a million other copies of the blockchain everywhere.
Well, the world's going down to that anyway.
Like the people's.
If you lose your private key, then you lose your money.
Panic.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
What do you
yeah.
mean?
That's the only true thing that.
Oh, if they lose their
Because
private.
Yeah.
everyone's wallets are going to be gone.
Wait, wait,
If,
yeah.
if it's,
they do.
Well, no, because then if when you set up your wallet, you
It's
have your
forward key.
yeah, you have
Right.
your
Forward.
keys,
And
and so you
paper
can always
backup.
there's the
Right.
paper backup. So
what
you
if,
can always
what if
bring
they
it back.
what if they put those keys somewhere on their computer or something?
Oh, like a keylogger?
Yeah, or some kind of
Well,
like
you're not supposed to. That's why you have it written down.
written down
Yeah,
or something like that.
That's why it tells you to write it down. It
Yeah.
tells you to write it down. Don't keep it on
Yeah.
your
It tells you to
computer.
print it out. And I'm like, well, I don't know about
It's a
print it out.
recovery. It's so you can recover your wallet in case of an EMP attack.
All the
Then you
blockchain.
have to worry about a physical thief. So.
I mean, it's not physical.
So it's like,
But you know what? It's true though. They talked about this right after the G20 meeting. How all of our satellite detection is pointed north because we've always thought Russia would send a nuke over the North Pole, right? Well, now they have the ability to send it down the south, and we don't have anything pointing south. So because we've never had a threat from the south, so that's funny. But they're giving apparently that's what they're all blustery about North Korea because they think North Korea is working on that technology to come from the
Is
south.
that where everybody's going to Antarctica? There's those little
I think
crazy
North
movie
Korea-
videos on
Yeah,
that. Yeah.
That's why the Nazis have secret.
That's the other one. You could get lost on that for hours.
That's such a trip. The secret communities in Antarctica. That's
Right.
really
How
brutal.
old theory?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Aliens.
That's where they filmed Alien versus Predator, remember?
That's right.
Anyway.
That's right. Or that's our secret, right? Like kids are still alive in the secret basement.
Okay,
Well,
when you
I mean,
become
even
a
if
programmer,
they did, that's
developer,
okay, you still-
right? Develop
Yeah.
some kind of app that can allow my coins to automatically spend, let me rephrase that, allow me to spend my coins the most efficient way possible. In other words, if I've got a wallet with 5 different currencies, and there'll probably be 100 of them by the time this goes mainstream, right? But have it so that when I purchase something, it automatically picks the best one to sell at that
The
moment
high
in time.
price or something.
Aren't there already stuff like there's like Gnosis?
Okay,
And,
hold on.
is that what that does?
Okay, so you're like so it sells at the best price, right?
Well,
whichever one's valuable.
There are bots coming out that sell right when at the best peak or something like that. I've read about those.
But like, for
Hey,
example,
that's
so-
crazy.
so I did this
That's
the other
like-
day, right? So I went to the movies, right? And I used the app because I'm a big AMC fan. And I purchased my ticket and I put my order for food. So as soon as I walk in, I just show my pass, my QR code, and they scan it and I go to the concession and my food's already ready for me because I told them I would be there 5 minutes before the movie started. And then I walk to my reserved seat, right? How awesome is that? And I think, this is a freaking Thursday, right? This was Thursday last week. I live in the best country in the world, I swear. Anyway, how cool would it be, right? So as soon as I purchased the app, right, from my office, because that's where I bought it from the office and I went straight afterward. Why doesn't it automatically just let the theater network, right, the AMC network coin know that I've already purchased a ticket, I'm on my way because of GPS in my cell phone. He's coming through the door. He doesn't even have to show his QR code anymore. His food's already ready because he placed the order, and it sold the coins that should have been sold, not the ones that I accidentally could have. You know what I mean? In other
Yeah.
words, how does it make it so seamless where I don't even go through life wondering how did that happen? That's what I want to develop. That's what you need to develop.
Or it doesn't even.
I think there's some
It doesn't
ICOs that are
even-
doing that already.
Is there?
Yeah, I mean,
And if not, the market will come up with one.
yeah, that's a good idea. I mean,
Yeah, but I don't know if there's if you need like a blockchain for something like that. Like I think you can do all of that stuff without.
Without a
Well, the
blockchain.
transaction.
You don't need-
goes to
yeah, you don't need a blockchain
Yeah,
for
you don't
that.
need a blockchain.
I mean, I think they have been doing stuff like that without a blockchain.
Well,
I mean, like when you
yeah.
when you said make transactions more
Efficient.
faster,
Or faster.
there's a thing called Lightning Network. If you guys heard of that.
Well, right. No, but what I'm saying is, if I've got a wallet with 30 different currencies in it,
Gotcha.
right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And Ethereum took a nosedive today because of a flash crash,
Right.
and Bitcoin's way too high, and it's on an upswing. Why don't you sell some I don't know,
Zcash.
Zcash coins, right?
Interesting.
So the wallet will automatically determine, based on some parameters that I put in there, which coins to sell to pay for my popcorn and my.
I get it.
When they give you the best.
Now, would
bang
you
for
be
your buck.
using this with your
Basically.
Swift card, or would they be accepting the
Either
altcoins?
one. I mean, either one.
Because I don't think every merchant is going to be able to accept, 30, 40, 50, 60 different
Types
types
of coins. Maybe they'll only take their coin.
Unless
AMC comes up with their own coin.
Yeah, I heard. What's his?
It's called a gift card.
Dennis Rodman. Dennis Rodman.
A lot of them are
tried to come up with
switching.
Popcoin.
Well, Popcoins will send them to North Korea, right?
Yeah.
Popcoin sponsored them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Popcoin. And I think it's for like marijuana.
It is.
that was
Yeah.
Bitcoin.
Well, no, there's another one called.
That was
Cannabis
actually a
Coin.
really good idea.
Cannabis
because-
coin is the one you're thinking of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, okay. So what's Popcoin?
So it's very similar. Cannabis coin is the reason I like cannabis coin so much is because it actually has a commodity.
there's actual
Marijuana.
functionality to cannabis coin.
Yeah. So the guy who invented it, Delta 9, if you're not familiar with tetrahydro, whatever,
Cannabis.
anyway, that's Delta 9 is one of the main ingredients in THC.
Anyway.
Anyway, so he created cannabis coin with the intent of using one coin to buy 1 gram of weed, right? The reason being is because the dispensaries
Yeah.
in Colorado, California, and even just Nevada, I guess,
It's all
this
cash.
week, right? They won't open bank accounts. They can't open bank accounts. Banks won't touch them, right? Because it's still federally illegal.
Yeah.
So I'll give you a chase, right? So
Oh, that makes
my
sense.
bank, right?
Some cops retire to become currency guards for California.
For dispensaries.
No, I know, my cousin used to grow marijuana for the dispensaries and stuff like that. And I
Yeah.
go over there and I meet a lot of his friends who own dispensaries, and they literally move hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not
Cash.
millions of dollars of cash
And they have to
on a
because
daily basis.
banks won't operate
Because-
open accounts for them.
especially like on 420 and stuff like that. Like they're making $300,000 a day.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, 30% of that goes to the
To the government.
That's what I'm saying. The government has no problem
No.
taking their 30% in
Right.
cash. You know what I mean? But
Well,
you know,
that-
a bank won't touch it. You know
One of
what I
our
mean?
biggest
So-
customers in Colorado is actually the state of Colorado, right? They have bank accounts too. I mean, they gotta pay their employees payroll checks, and
Right,
pay for
right.
water and everything
put
The
else.
that
city
one
has
in the
an
account.
account too.
The city of Dallas, they bank with Chase, right?
Right.
So, anyway, the county, most of the counties in Colorado where the dispensaries are located also bank with us.
Oh.
Well, the counties take tax dollars, right? Just like we write our checks for property taxes or whatever. Well, dispensary owners come with cash. So every time the city of Colorado or Denver comes and deposits at Chase, they bring literally bags full of cash. And we have to write up because they're depositing more than 10,000 in cash. So we literally are reporting our own government to our federal government for doing unauthorized $10,000
They're working
payments.
state government to federal.
But yet the
to-
banks won't touch it. You know.
But we can't touch it. Right? So
It-
we'll touch the state of Colorado's money.
Yeah,
Because that's
which
state
came
money.
and they know where the source came from, so it's still dirty
It
money.
smells a little funny, but we'll take it, right?
Just on side, which bank are you working for?
Yeah, it's the same thing as
Yeah,
it's the same thing as those the Silk Road coins, right?
right.
Because normally they reject like those coins are tainted, but since
Right.
the U.S. government sees them,
Oh, they're like
Yeah.
and sold them,
auction.
so now they're good.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
So anyway, well, the reason I mentioned all this was because again, if the problem always comes back in, again, cannabis coin is a great idea, exchange 1 coin for 1 gram of weed, that way there's no cash.
Well, digital currency in general, it doesn't matter what kind of coin
Exactly
it is,
right.
even if it's just Bitcoin.
Right.
You know, I mean, that would make security, and it would make it would just be way more efficient.
Right.
For
So
people
when
who
this
own
started,
dispensaries.
this tetrahydro.
So this
This
guy,
guy
no, the
came
coin's
in
been
as
around
a-
for 2 years now. The coin's been around for 2 years. Unfortunately, dispensaries will not accept it because that whole when it crosses right into the realm of KYC or anti-money laundering, right? And that's where they freak out.
Yeah.
I've got my license to print money. Basically, a dispensary is a license to print money, right? You're making money hand over fist. Your cousin, right?
why
Las
can't-
Vegas just reported this today. If you look up the article, they went legal July 1,
Yep.
and they're already out of cash. They're already out of pot. The whole state of Nevada.
Oh, you can.
They have a sign that says, welcome to, what state was it,
I
Nevada?
don't, it was Nevada.
There's a welcome to Nevada, and then at the
And
bottom it
10
says,
days.
please bring weed.
In 10 days, they're
Wow.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, the demand.
And they're charging 33% tax, 30% tax, 30% tax.
Well, that's what
And the
Colorado
governor
is.
came out and said, if there's any state out there willing to lend us some weed.
Start rolling, man.
That's what I'm saying, and that's another industry that's gonna be
No, that's what I was
multi-billion
hearing.
dollar.
Why aren't you
multi-billion
there
dollar.
helping your cousin?
Yeah.
I'm not really big on weed, and
Oh, that's
But you're big on what?
I'm big on weed.
They're selling them legal, but they're sourcing them illegal,
What?
like weed. Like
Oh.
they gotta source them like illegal.
Oh, yeah.
He's not making.
You mean from a state that doesn't make it legal?
He's a grower
Or
himself.
something like,
in his-
yeah, like
his
whatever,
business
like
make
there's
money.
because
The seeds and seed.
Because
They're
now
not
they got
supply,
these
you know, so,
large wholesale growers that have
Mexico.
Corporate owned, yeah, big giant corporations, yeah.
huge warehouses that are growing shit. So it's kind
And
of
little guys
all
can't
little
compete.
guys. Yeah, they can't compete.
It's like a mom and
so
pop
his,
thing.
his going under, and
Yeah,
the
you
only
gotta
way you
go
can
on.
really do it is
Yeah.
doing it the illegal way, you know, and
Right.
grow and then just sell to other people. who-
So say again, the reason the dispensaries aren't
Don't
accepting it
take it.
is because.
They have to eventually exchange it for USD, and that's where the problem comes in,
And
right?
then no one will do that, you're
Anytime
saying?
you cross, they're virtual with fiat, this is where you can get in trouble, right? This is where ABRA comes in, right? So, anytime you are exchanging fiat for Bitcoin, or any digital currency for that matter, technically you are now a money service business, according to the federal government, right? According to banking
And
law,
that's when you have
banking
to
regulations.
know what your customer thinks.
This is where you have to have a log and all this, all the BS the banks have to put up with, right? We're gonna have to put up with if we're exchanging it ourselves.
So you become that when you start switching to dollars.
When you yourself start selling it to someone
Yeah,
else.
'cause when you do
So
that,
doesn't that apply to us?
because the
Again, this is where it gets
The
really
the government wants to
scary.
know the capital gains. They want you to pay your capital gains tax. But if you're selling Bitcoin and they don't know about that and they can't trace that, they don't know how much money you're making on
Right.
top of your initial
Or
investment.
they don't know if you're funding terrorism,
Yeah,
or they don't know
terrorism, or if you're selling
drug
drugs,
dealing,
or whatever it may be.
So it's that intersection.
Or selling products and not charging proper sales tax, or not doing business
Or
properly.
you're just a legitimate business owner.
But doesn't
Exactly.
Coinbase have like tax forms that send you and all that? Or-
Not yet.
It doesn't.
But that's
They have
just
transactions. They can do
that's just
transactions.
within their network. I mean, once you move that out to a different wallet and then you start, making purchases or other things from there, like it just totally gets lost and they just can't keep track.
That's
of
where
it.
the big crux is, where you cross fiat currency with USD.
So
If
then-
you operate fully USD, you're fine.
Well, then the point is, can they ever operate just on cryptos themselves? Like, in other words, if there's enough stores open, they can spend their cryptos.
This is where regulation now starts coming into the mix, right? This is why I'm so big on regulation, because current regulation cannot happen with Bitcoin. Current regulation does not cover Bitcoin. It covers fiat, right? They're trying to define it, but they're really not.
It's a gray area.
All the three-letter agencies call it something different.
Fit a square peg in a round hole.
Right, I mean, it just doesn't work,
Yeah.
right? So either you're fully crypto or you're fully fiat. But as soon as you cross the two, our banking laws, not everybody, our banking laws can put you in a world of hurt, right? I mean, Charlie Shrem, how long did he go away for? Ross Ulbricht, how long did he go away for, right? So, and they'll make
Yeah,
examples of
that's
people.
Yeah,
Tell us who those
Ross-
guys are. I never.
Ross
Charlie
Ulbricht
Shrem was, he started Bitstamp. He was one of the early adopters. Charlie Shrem, Roger Ver. So if you just Google or YouTube Charlie Shrem and pull up some of his
I
old
think he had like
videos.
an entrapment thing where they tried to sell them like.
He
some
was
kind of-
selling them
like
without
privately.
filing the money service business documentation. Basically, is what he did.
Because of the U.S. dollars. 'Cause
Well,
it was-
he was selling them in New York, right? So consoles, and because he wasn't filing the proper paperwork with the proper government regulators, that's why I got in trouble.
But is that,
But there's a lot of those guys that sell local, right? They all have to be aware of that.
yeah, well, I mean, is money services classification, does that apply just for businesses or just
Well, then
individuals?
if you're doing it for
Is that like
profit,
ATMs?
Yeah.
are you doing it for income? Are you doing
No, I
it
mean,
as a
like,
hobby?
There's ATM machines. then.
People in crypto are, they buy.
Is there a limit?
But people go to ATMs.
Well, yeah, but the
It's usually just in, not out,
but
though, in most
ATMs
cases,
are reporting
right?
you,
It's not
right?
two-way or one-way.
Yeah.
Do they?
Yeah. They have your picture with the photo, right? They have your cell phone number, where it goes to. That's two forms of ID,
Yeah.
right? That can be used as CIP, Customer Information Program. Right? That's one of the major tenets of KYC, CIP. So the more information they collect about you, every data point is considered a piece of information, which is usable for law enforcement, right? So every data point that I give, that I collect, I can give out. So if I collect your picture and your cell phone number, that's 2 pieces of information that I can give to law enforcement. If they're on your trail, see what I mean?
Yeah.
So as a Bitcoin ATM company, they do KYC. You just don't know it.
If they're on your trail. Like,
If-
if you're like doing like illegal things. Like
Right.
I think Shrem was like, they were trying to like coerce him to like do something.
Well, he was trying to sell Bitcoins illegally without registering as a money service business.
What do you mean?
As an MSB, registering as a money service business or filing as an MSB?
So if I buy.
This is again,